conspicuous absence of David can be explained by
flight delay? You mentioned something about that?
Yeah, something about a flight delay. David went, his sister got married in New York. You probably have heard of her. We're not going to name drop on the show. But anyway, in his flight back, I guess there was a flight delay.
Mm. Yeah, because there's always a lot of weather in June.
Yeah, so he's hanging out with all these movie stars and shit. And he's like, hey Ben, we met some star power at my sister's wedding. But I'm gonna be delayed a week, so I'm not gonna be able to make it to this week's show. I'm gonna hang out with Danny Glover, and we're gonna go skydiving somewhere over Africa.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard this before.
Oh. Yeah, you have. You've probably seen it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
not to be confused with that other time when like Bill Murray helped him run away from the zoo.
So guys, we're looking for a job for David. Any ideas? Write us. And the zoo and SeaWorld are right out. We don't want.
Go for it.
Hello, my name's Michael Cholak. I own Yes Your Comics here in San Diego, and we're going to be talking about a couple books that came out last night, actually at midnight, on the 25th of May. The first is Rebirth, which is basically the catalyst to start the new era for DC Comics. Essentially, it is combining older stories, older characters, and merging into possibly a new universe. It's going to be quite interesting to see what they do. Obviously, we don't want to do any spoilers right now, but I did kind of look at the last few pages, and I'm very impressed. I'm not quite sure how Jeff Johns came up with the idea, but it's something that probably I think most people are going to be kind of shocked with. The next is Justice League number 50, which is was supposed to say the identity of the Joker, but more hints towards who or possibly what type of character is, and who might also be other quote Jokers. It's the basic conclusion of the Darkseid War and the role that Batman had and will have in future storylines. And once again, it kind of merges in with the DC Rebirth, so it'll be quite interesting to see what direction they take DC for not just the next month, but the next year.
People trying to like shuffle him back into a fucking tank or back into a cage or whatever it may be. But yeah, any ideas for what David could do for a living?
Motivational speaker, life coach.
Life coach. Yeah, so as long as it involves children, let's not talk about that. The zoo or SeaWorld. It can be none of the above. But if you got an idea for what David can do for a job, or you have a job for David, let us know on ThePod Facebook or Twitter.
Hey, we're not on Twitter.
No. Okay.
You can hit Tightrope Games on Twitter.
Yeah, hit up Tightrope Games on Twitter.
Yeah.
And or Facebook, ThePod, and let us know what your ideas are.
Contact theypod@gmail.com.
Yeah, there's so many ways to contact us.
I'd really like to get some emails that aren't like, I am nice Russian girl looking for a friend. Is you lonely guy, yes?
Yeah.
I'm tired of getting those emails. So if you have any, email me something.
Or walk up to us, as it were.
Yeah, that's what we said last episode. You want to be on the show, just walk up to us and say, hey, can I be on the show? Looking at you, Jack. Hey, could we do a Rogue One episode? We did one like a month and a half ago.
He's an avid follower of the show, huh?
Yeah. Well, if you ask him, he is. It's okay. I can say all this because I know he's never going to watch this.
Well, the editing reel is kind of a big deal on Jack and Jay. Come on, JJ.
Yeah.
Come on.
Jar.
Jar Jar. When Team Jar Jar comes up, you have to edit the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Mr. Big Ugly, Mr. Get all the girls.
Was that Sean?
Oh no, Sean only does one voice.
What's that?
See, ask him. It's like, Sean, do you need to do any voices? I don't do any voices. I don't do any voices. No, okay, I do one. He gets all just like dialed in and stuff, and he just has one word.
He takes the headphones off. He's like plugging one there, doing this shit.
Like the fucking Mariah Carey. Yeah. Like, all that.
Bravo. A bouquet of flowers.
Right. Yeah, I think you need to add a couple more K's to that bouquet.
That's a nice bouquet.
Now you get it.
Yeah. There are no K's in bouquet, but hey.
Yeah, with a few more K's.
All right. Well, so one of Chris's personal favorites.
Well, I wouldn't say one. I would say my all-time favorite comic ever.
All time.
Yeah, is the
Preacher.
Preacher. Yeah, definitely. Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon. I've read it at least like the whole book through at least 3 different times, and that's not including reading certain parts like over and over again in certain books, because obviously I'm not young enough to have read it in its first print.
1995 to 2000.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, but I never read it in its original print. I didn't read it till an adult, and I just loved like how 90s it was, all the different themes. Like, in my opinion, it was like if some really awesome writers wrote a Quentin Tarantino movie for him and he directed it, but then it was a comic book. And that's how I feel about it, you know? Like, I thought,
So this is Chris right now. Enos, Dylan.
well, yeah, basically, because I mean, those guys teamed up for other stuff too. Like, they did some really, really awesome Punisher stuff. Like, they did this one.
Tell us about more shit we haven't heard about, Chris.
No, they did this one really great Punisher story like a few years ago. More than a few. It was a while back. But at one point, Punisher, he digs up Wilson Fisk, Kingpin's his son's dead body. He digs it up and steals it, right? While they're at war together. And Punisher does that to fuck with them because he ended up killing his son to further himself, you know, as a kingpin, as a crime lord and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things he kind of does like the Batman, like goes back and visits his son, you know, because he kind of reflects on stuff. Fucking Punisher goes and he steals the body. You know, like, it's pretty punk rock. You know, it's pretty badass.
Zoomed from the earth.
Yeah, and that was a Steve Dillon, Garth Ennis comic. You know, they were doing I think that was just Steve Dillon doing Thunderbolts for a while, which was like kind of like Suicide Squad meets Avengers. It was like Red Hulk and Elektra, Punisher, Deadpool, all on the same team. Yeah, Venom. You know, they're out doing their thing. But anyways, we digress.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Amazing comic, great stories, great characters. You know, a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
I let you borrow some of it to check out.
Yeah, I think I saw the first one.
Yeah, the first book,
Yeah.
Gone to Texas. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I have all the
Genesis
trade
went down to
paperbacks.
Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. And it just gets weirder and weirder.
So you guys obviously know that as of yesterday, I think,
Yeah, well,
there's a television show now. Preacher.
Technically, watched it this morning, right? Because I got here a little late, So I ended up ordering it on Amazon so we could watch it because I was able to stream it on my phone, but we weren't able to 21st century this shit to get it onto your television via the Xbox. So I just bought it on Amazon. We watched it. Started out pretty strong. I felt like, you know,
We watched the pilot episode, right?
yeah, we watched the first episode.
The hour pilot.
I felt like within the first 10 minutes it was starting off pretty strong, and it just kind of started to meander a little bit.
Well, it's definitely different from the comic, but then again, I don't know. Like Game of Thrones, when that first came out and everyone jumped on the bandwagon, I read most of the books back in 2000 when they came out. 2002, and I really wanted the television show, to reflect the books, because I thought, how can you make the books any better? So I can understand what you're kind of going through as far as, you know, your favorite graphic novel or whatever not really being adapted, being true to the being translated on screen.
Well, I'm totally cool with stuff like you know, doing some gender swap, race swap, you know, because I mean, with comic books and television shows, like, yeah, you know, I watched a lot of these shows, but it was like a bunch of white people doing a bunch of shit, and the only people that looked like me were like support characters, like the janitor who throws out some really cool advice every once in a while or something.
Some good advices.
Yeah. You know, so like I'm cool with some of that stuff, and I'm cool with taking liberties and whatever. But like, first things first, I felt like that comic really, it was like super 90s, you know. So I felt like it would have been cool to do a period piece, because it's not like AMC hasn't done period pieces before.
Wouldn't that be cool if like they go in the bar and like the fucking Dawson's Creek is showing? I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking awesome.
You know what I mean?
Like ripped jeans, the torn jeans and shit.
Because, I mean, sometimes you could do it, like, really subtly. And, like, I would say a really great example of a movie where
everyone's wearing American Eagle and shit.
Yeah, well, it kind of takes a minute before you realize, like, wait, when does this take place? Like, No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be like the 80s.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but the thing is that it takes place in Texas, so it's like you don't really know, because
it's so backward.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I usually go to Austin like pretty much once a year. I think in the past like 5 or 6. I think in the past like 6 years, I only missed one trip. When we go every year, we go to Austin. But if you drive around there, if you've driven through Texas, to Texas, you know, New Mexico, some parts of Arizona, it's really like it's a timeless kind of area. Like, there's still like a lot of houses, a lot of stuff that was probably the same way it was in like the 60s or 70s as it is like right now today, you know. And No Country for Old Men, like, they didn't have to say this is a period piece, but yet it's like, wait, nobody has like cell phones or anything. So the story is so strong that you don't even really catch that the first go around unless you're really paying attention, you know?
Well, the bad guy's his haircut. It was like so 70s, like his dress.
Yeah, but then, like, to me, he looked like a bad guy from Scooby-Doo. Like, right before they pull the mask. Yeah. That's how Antoine Chigurh looked, you know?
Antoine.
Yeah.
Step out of the car, please.
Oh, yeah. Check this out. I think that for the new Batman reboots, I think that he would make a really good Bane. No?
Yeah.
Javier Bardem?
Yeah, maybe.
It's like,
you're in darkness, is what I like. I was born in the darkness.
yeah.
I like the current Bane, past Bane.
All right. Well, I mean, he wasn't even like Latin.
So?
I guess because we were talking about swapping everything, whatever, right? But he's supposed to be
He's supposed to be, well, he's Russian in the movie, right?
Was he Russian?
He's Russian. Yeah, Bane was Russian.
In that movie.
Yeah.
But like everything else, he's from like South America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get so big? In South America, like poverty stricken.
Because it's like
The ooze.
kind of the same, like super soldier serum type deal where he gets the venom, and the venom is what makes him big and strong and stuff.
And then he
So he ends up becoming like a mercenary type dude.
and the canister fell into the sewer, and 4 turtles and a rat stumbled across it.
Oh, have you seen the trailer for the Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles porno?
No, not for the porno.
Yeah, you haven't seen the trailer yet?
God.
Donatello. Yeah. And
Speaking of Donatello,
they're called the Foot Job Clan. It's clever, dude. I think that if I had made like a few more wrong choices in life, I would probably be like a DP on that movie.
take a look around. I mean, how can you?
It said a few
how can you
more.
go down?
More.
I mean, it's like
a few more wrong choices.
I thought it was pretty much the lowest that you can possibly be at.
Yeah, I mean, like, I there's a couple like bad steps away from being like Basketball Diaries.
All right, so getting back from free association here. What if I could go back in time? I'd tell my mother no. Abstinence is best. Okay, get away from the free association. Back to the topic at hand, the preacher.
Yeah.
Do it. So we watched the pilot. Chris wasn't very pleased.
Well, it's not. I got bored. Like I was sitting there and I was just kind of like bored because it's like, what's the point in taking all this time to like show all these characters in town if like spoilers like it's all gonna fucking blow up and everyone's gonna die.
Maybe it doesn't on a television show.
So at that point, then it like kind of bleeds into the stuff that you're always talking about with like fan fiction, where it's like, oh, it's just like fucking plagiarism. Like they're just getting these characters and then building this entire.
But hold on, but it's not a literary piece. It's a comic book. How many comic books do you know that were made in a movie that stuck true to the comic book?
Yeah,
Like, none of them, right?
I understand you gotta move and jive and stuff like that, but it like this. I just got like bored, you know. Like I didn't feel like any of the characters were really like super charming or likable. I didn't feel like like I when I watched Breaking Bad, like I didn't really feel bad for Walter White. I didn't really like Jesse. So all the things that happened, it was just kind of like, okay, like, oh, now this happened. It's like, all right. Like, I don't care about these people. I don't care.
I watched that show
live or die.
hoping that I'd see Jesse Pinkman get fucking slaughtered.
Yeah, it's
And
like,
it never happened. Like, that was the biggest letdown.
yeah, it's like, oh, okay. You know, because at least, like, you watch a movie or a TV show, even if the person's kind of like a scoundrel or something, like, if they're charming, then it gives you a reason to keep watching to see what happens to them.
I think it's more of it if you can identify with them.
Yeah.
You know? If you can identify with a character, if you feel some kind of connection, or you can empathize with their plight, or like, hey, that guy reminds me of me. That's pretty cool. I think that's what it's more has more of an impact and what pulls you in.
Yeah.
Like that's why Game of Thrones is so popular, because they have so many characters that anyone can identify. Like name a character,
Yeah.
and then someone can identify.
So why don't we like Breaking Bad? Because you're like, you know, cancer ridden and bald, and I'm like your younger ghetto friend. Like why didn't we identify with that show?
I just didn't like Breaking Bad. I thought it went like fucking 4 seasons too long. They should end at maybe 1, maybe 2. The coolest, let's face it, the coolest character was Saul.
Yeah.
Without a doubt,
And
100%.
They gave him a show. I watched that show. That show was like, it was all right. It was entertaining. You know, you're rooting for that guy, but it's kind of like,
we just moved on from the whole.
yeah. Well, the thing too with like a show like that is it's a prequel to a show that you know what happens from the beginning of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like hanging over its head the whole time because you know where it's gonna go and how things are gonna end up. So it doesn't quite ruin it, but it's not as strong as like an original IP. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that maybe if they continued off where when he disappears,
Yeah.
like him picking up the pieces, I thought that was going to be awesome, but there was a prequel. I'm like, not interested.
Well, that's how the prequel starts. It's like him at his like stupid fucking Cinnabon job after the fixer gets him out. Excuse me. And who's the guy who played like the fixer in that? That was
the television repair man or some shit.
that was the dude from Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, but
I
Saul,
can't think of his
but
name.
the actor that they picked to play Saul,
Yeah, he's good.
guy was amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
He has like a really like German name. I can't think of it right now.
But so I think one of the problems I had with the Preacher's, was it AMC?
Yeah.
AMC's rendition of the Preacher is that the first thing I thought that the Preacher, Jesse Custer, Dominic Cooper, I saw him like wearing the Preacher shit and he's donning that shit. I thought it was gonna be kind of like a parody because the guy's giving his sermon. It's like, this guy is a bitch, not charismatic, no fucking spine. I was like, oh, this must be like the preacher's assistant who's handling it while the preacher's off doing like preacher badass stuff, right? No, that was him. Like, how uninspiring, how unfucking inspiring. And then Cassie in the plane, I'm like, oh my god! Since I heard the Irish, like, that's your fucking Cassidy, really? Really, fucking. It was Joe Gilgan.
Well, for me, like
When I heard these people.
when I would read the comic, like my dream cast for like the three would be Crybaby era Johnny Depp as Jesse Custer, Patricia Arquette, right?
As
in
Tulip.
True Romance as Tulip. 'Cause
Yes.
she could even pull off the hair too.
Yeah,
right?
she looked just like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I
And-
think that's probably where they got it from.
Yeah, and maybe like late '90s Christian Bale as fucking Cassidy.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. And then for Air Star, I can't think of the guy. Is it Brian Cox? The guy who's like, hey, Nancy, from like fucking Scrubs and stuff. I want the like curly red hair.
Oh, okay, yeah, that fruitcake.
I imagine him as Air Star. Because I know you only read the first book, but Air Star's like he's a pretty funny character. He's like that fucking dude from fucking Monty Python. Or like the fucking Holy Grail where he just keeps like losing shit. His Air Star, that just, as the longer it goes, the more fucked up this guy gets and the more bad shit happens to him.
I will bite you to death. So yeah, I mean, Dominic Cooper, completely uninspiring. Joe Gilgan, it's like, that's the best he can do. That's your Cassidy. See, the thing I got, like, Cassidy in the show comes off as like just a scumbag.
Yeah.
But when you read, I read the book and I kind of got the feeling like this guy had like rapier wit, been around forever, actually more intelligent than he presents himself to be, more worldly, not just like some counterculture, like punk fucking shitbag, but he actually has like some life experience and shit.
Yeah, because he
doesn't come off like that at
in
all
the
in the
comic.
show.
He's like he's actually kind of a tragic character because he's come and gone and he's outlived all of his friends and all of his colleagues and stuff.
Typical
like that.
vampire plight, yeah.
Yeah, and his origins come out of like Ireland during like these fucking IRA fucking wars and shit like that. Back in the day, like him and his brother were kids and they got pulled into like all that fucking terrorism and all that fucking civil war shit in Ireland, right?
Very cranberries.
Yeah. So it kind of starts with that, and then because of vampire. But my favorite Cassidy story, I don't think you got this far with the books I let you borrow. He ends up on his travels. He ends up in New Orleans, right? And he finds this like group of kids. They're called like Los Infantes de Sangre. And they're these like Anne Rice fucking like lover fucking kids. And like there's this one dude, I can't think of his name, but he's like the leader of like the vamp kids and stuff. And he's not a real vampire. So then, like, Cassidy shows up, and they're all, like, you know, wearing blouses, like, interview with a vampire status. And
Like
then
Prince,
Cassidy...
like Prince type of shit.
Yeah, and then Cassidy's, like, a real vampire. He gets into it with the shit. He fucking rips them apart.
Crushes their dreams.
No, like, literally
And he
rips
some-
some of them apart. Yeah, it's really funny. Like, it's great. Yeah, but he just, you know, like... I mean, visually, yeah, it looks pretty cool, but, like, I felt they kind of overdid it with Tulip, like, trying to make her too much of a badass.
Yeah, all the fight scenes are just way over the top.
Yeah, because, you know, they're just trying to pull people that wouldn't really be into it. Because, I mean,
right.
Preacher, it's a bit more of a talkie. Yeah, there is some, like, crazy stuff that happens and some crazy scenes. But it's more of a dialogue type thing. You know, and they really went high with the action. And, you know, hey, Tulip's black, that's cool. But, like, the chick that, with her really, like, her accent sounds really fake. Well, her accent sounds really fake, right? And then on top of that, like...
The character feels really forced.
Yeah, it doesn't feel organic, you know?
Like what was that weird little exchange with those two kids that she rolled up in that moonshine thing after going through some cornfield?
It felt like they were trying to be like a Tarantino movie right there, you know? Like, I don't know. I wasn't crazy about that. Because in the comics, like, that whole... When she meets Cassidy, it's because, like...
She's in trouble.
She was pretending to be a hooker, right? So she can do a hit, and then she screws up the hit in the back of a limo with that dude, and then it turns into like a shootout, and then she ends up in that truck with him, and then he jumps in the back of the truck, and he's covering himself with a blanket, and that's when they're on the run, and they end up outside of Anvil, and that's when Jesse had gotten Genesis and totally levels the town, you know? So then it's like, what the fuck's going on? And then as soon as her and Jesse see each other... She's like, oh my God, what's up? And then, like, you fucking asshole, you fucking left me, you know, like all that shit. And it's like they totally just pulled the rug out from that storyline in here, and they're focusing on all these people in the town, but it's like,
There's a huge...
wait, aren't these people all gonna, like, blow up and die? And then if Anvil is gonna blow up, because that's, like, a pretty big part of the story, then fucking Tulip and Cassidy are already there. Yeah, so it's like,
Well, it's one of the things where the overtones of the whole women empowerment thing. I mean, thank Tulip.
Yeah.
Now being cast by a black woman, presumably.
Yeah.
She's like, and then a little aside to the kids. The first thing, you gotta find him and hunt him down and eat him alive like a tiger. Rawr, Grace Jones. I'd like to chew glass, bite the heads off of gummy bears type of shit. Living Color reference.
Yeah.
For your time. So the...
Homie, don't play that.
There you go. So it's like, obviously it's a women's empowerment thing, but it was like, it's so forced. That's not the Tulip that I've read.
Yeah.
She was kind of like in trouble, kind of like just starting out, like very Trish Arquette kind of.
Yeah, like she killed people, but it's not like she was
a badass making bazookas out of fucking coffee cans.
She did it out of necessity, and she was good at it. She was good at killing people, but it's not like that was her main thing. Like it's kind of like a Roadhouse type deal where it's like she got to a point where she was pushed, and then she would handle biz.
But she wanted to be pushed though. She wanted that roundhouse.
Yeah. You know, and her story, her backstory, I don't think you got that far either. It's pretty tragic about how she learns about guns and stuff. You know, and that's one of the things I really love about that comic is that there's an actual ending. You know, it's only, I think it's like 100 issues or something like that.
66.
It's only 66 issues? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's just boom. That's it. That's the story. It's done. Right? They don't overdo it. They're not reaching. You know, like...
They're not trying to keep it alive, beat a dead horse, or we're not still talking about Captain America circa World War II type of shit.
Yeah. Or like with The Walking Dead, where the show is like kind of at a point where it's like, well, if we keep going at this rate, we're going to pass the comic. What are we going to do? You know? And there's some cool stuff like with The Walking Dead. I fell off the wagon for that show, but some of the stuff that they do, even though it's different than a comic, they'll have like beat for beat fucking like stuff that's straight pulled from the comic, even if the story is different. You know, they'll have some cool stuff that you'll see visually it matches. And the same thing with like Civil War. Did you see Civil War yet? No. I guess I'm gonna have to go see it again. You shouldn't have watched Keanu 5 times.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I like cats, right?
Yeah.
Gangsters and cats.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys.